From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, I'm Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 from Monday, May 22nd. Going to be another beautiful day. The warming trend continues. Going to have partly cloudy skies with highs in the low 80s. And this dry stretch of days is set to continue with no current rain chances over the next 8 days. This is according to our Storm Track 8 weather team, which of course does include that race day forecast. Temperatures are going to be in the 80s for most of the work week with plenty of sunshine. So we'll see if that weather pattern holds up. And the field of 33 is set for Sunday's Indy 500. Alex Palou will lead the field after putting together the fastest four-lap pole run in 500 history. He averaged 234.217 miles per hour, beating the record pole run of his teammate Scott Dixon last year. Rinus VeeKay was 0.06 of a second slower and will start in the middle of row one, with Felix Rosenqvist on the outside. Palou won the Grand Prix last weekend and is looking to make it a perfect month in Indianapolis.
I'm going to celebrate as much as possible with the boys today, the pole that we did, because it's tough. And then, tomorrow we'll start thinking about the race, thinking about what can we improve on the car. We were good, but we want to be better, and hopefully we can make it happen.
Palou's pole run is the second fastest qualifying effort in Speedway history. Ari Luyendyk went nearly 237 miles an hour in 1996, but it was a second-day run, and he started 20th. This year's field of 33 is the fastest in 500 history. A longtime fan favorite will miss the race. Wish TV driver analyst Graham Rahal was on the losing end of the last row shootout, first bumping teammate Jack Harvey out of the field, then sitting as Harvey made several runs to try to win the spot back. As time expired, Harvey managed to find just enough speed, then called it his worst day ever at the track because he had to knock out a teammate.
In terms of professionally, this is without a doubt the most draining, difficult day. And even now, I'm so grateful to be in 107th run of the Indy 500, but at the expense of what it came as, it's a bitter moment.
At the end of the day, it is what it is. And, I'm proud of these guys. I think everybody's tried, exceptionally hard over the last couple of days. We came up short. I don't really have much else to say. This place, you got to earn it. It's not handed out. It's not given. It's not a guarantee. And we came up short.
So let's run down the first four rows. Did mention the first row already. Alex Palou, Rinus VeeKay, and Felix Rosenqvist. They'll be at the Yard of Bricks at 8 o'clock this morning, taking that traditional photo op. Row 2, Santino Ferrucci, Pato O'Ward, and Scott Dixon. Third row is made up of 3 former Indy 500 winners, Alexander Rossi, Takuma Sato, and Tony Kanaan. Reigning champion Marcus Ericsson highlights row 4. He's joined by Benjamin Peterson and Will Power to round out the top 12 drivers. In news away from the race, police say road rage on 465 led to gunfire, wounding a 19-year-old man. It happened yesterday afternoon near Brookville Road. State police say the man was driving his car onto the interstate when the conflict happened. Troopers say the other driver shouted, swerved, and eventually fired several shots, hitting the victim. Police say a passenger in the car switched seats with the driver to get him to a hospital, but medics reached with them before they arrived. We're working to get an update on the victim's condition. You can find any updates we find out on wishtv.com. So far, investigators have not released a description of the car or truck the shooter was in. To Lake County, Indiana, where authorities say a man is dead and his 2 children are injured in a grenade explosion. The sheriff's department says that it happened Saturday evening in Lakes of Four Seasons. According to the department, the family had been going through a grandfather's belongings when they found a hand grenade. The department says someone pulled the pin on the device and it detonated. Authorities say a man was found unresponsive at the scene and was later pronounced dead. They say his 14-year-old son and 18-year-old daughter were hurt. In South Bend, a man is in custody facing drug and gun charges after a big bust. State police arrested 43-year-old Ardisha Hogan Friday after an investigation that started earlier this year. Police say they served a warrant at his house. State police say they confiscated 6 guns, 2 of them stolen, $13,000 in cash, hundreds of pills, and 93 doses of ketamine. Today, FEMA says it will reopen a disaster recovery center in Clinton County. It'll be at the county's emergency management building on Jackson Street in Frankfort. The center will be open from 8 to 6 today and tomorrow. It'll be open from 8 until 5 Wednesday. Anyone impacted by the severe weather in late March can apply for FEMA aid. The deadline to apply is June 14th. And today, a potentially pivotal meeting on the nation's debt limit. President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy are set to meet again at the White House. The pair spoke by phone yesterday as the president returned home from the G7 summit in Japan. Biden says the call went well. Republicans and Democrats have for several months been in a standoff over the debt ceiling. Republicans want the bump tied to spending cuts. The president has proposed a budget that locks in current levels.
Now it's time for the other side to move from their extreme positions, because much of what they've already proposed is simply, quite frankly, unacceptable.
I mean, waiting those 97 days and now changing positions every day, that's not productive. I'm glad he's finally getting back into the country.
As we've reported, the Treasury Department says the U.S. could default on its debt as soon as June 1st. And an Indiana Republican in Congress is expressing optimism about getting a debt deal done in time. News 8's government reporter Garrett Berquist spoke with Representative Greg Pence for this week's edition of All Indiana Politics.
Congressman Greg Pence says negotiators are keeping the details of their discussions quiet. Top negotiators announced late last week they were at an impasse and the talks were being paused. But Pence says he does not expect a default.
I believe we're going to get a deal whenever the default is. You know, that actually moved a little bit. I was in D.C. all this week. There's a lot of progress. There's a lot of positive comments coming out. But frankly, the debate and the conversations are really being kept quiet, which I think is appropriate. There's a tendency for a lot of my peers to run to the camera and give their opinion about rumors or innuendos, and I think that not being part of the dialogue and the conversations right now is a good thing. But I think something will get done. You hear a little bit here and a little bit there, but we'll see. Next week, I really feel that by the end of the week, we're going to have something maybe to vote on.
How worried should Hoosiers be about losing access to federally funded programs such as Social Security or veterans benefits?
I wouldn't worry about we have promised, the Republicans have promised that we're going to protect veterans. I'm also a veteran. I won't waver on that. And Social Security, I don't think that is not going to be at risk in the short term. We do have to address it in the long term. What that takes, I think, is mature people come to the table and say, what are we going to do about this shortfall of revenues coming in? How do we address that?
All Indiana Politics airs every Sunday morning at 9:30, exclusively on Wish TV. I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and like us on Facebook.
And today, another Republican announces his bid for presidency. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott will speak to supporters. Federal Election says that he filed the paperwork last week. He's scheduled to appear in his hometown, North Charleston, late this morning. Scott enters an already crowded field of Republicans in the primary, including former President Donald Trump, former United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley, former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson. Supporters expect Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to announce his bid later this week. And today, the city of Uvalde has canceled its scheduled council meeting and all city-sanctioned events for the rest of the week. In fact, it's to mark the one-year anniversary of the deadly Robb Elementary School shooting. City leaders also say they'll provide a public address today as well. The school is permanently closed, and the criminal investigation over the hesitant police response is still underway. It'll be a year on Wednesday, May 24th, that a gunman killed 19 children and 2 teachers inside a 4th-grade classroom. It took police an hour to take down the gunman. City leaders say this week is set aside to allow the community to grieve and remember the victims. Authorities say 12 people are dead and dozens are hurt after a stampede at a soccer match in El Salvador. The scene had emergency workers and police dealing with the aftermath of the crush. It happened Saturday night during a playoff match. Fans say the game was scheduled to start at 7:30, but the gate was closed at 7, and they were left outside with their tickets. Officials say angry fans knocked down an entrance gate to the stadium, leading to the stampede. A fifth career major for Brooks Koepka is a significant first for the tour where he now plays. Koepka pulled away from the field in the final round at the PGA Championship in Oak Hill Sunday. He buried 7 birdies on his way to a 2-stroke victory that was rarely threatened. It's his 3rd PGA title, 5th major of his career, and first by a LIV golfer. The breakout star of the weekend, though, was not a player from either tour, but a teaching pro named Michael Block. He ended what was already a storybook tournament with a hole-in-one on number 15. Block finished 15th overall, assuring himself a spot in next year's field. The Axiom 2 private space shuttle is set to arrive at the International Space Station later this morning. The crew includes its commander, former NASA astronaut Peggy Whitson, American business pioneer and space enthusiast John Schaffner as pilot, and 2 mission specialists from the Saudi Space Commission, which marks the first woman from Saudi Arabia to enter space. SpaceX launched the rocket yesterday from the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida. The crew will now spend about 10 days conducting stem cell research and other science experiments. This is the second private flight to the ISS organized by Axiom Space. The company plans to start adding its own rooms to the station in another few years, then form a standalone station. And in business headlines, 2/3 of North America could face the risk of electricity shortfalls this summer. The U.S. West is at an elevated risk due to wide area heat events. The North American Electric Reliability Association says the new EPA environmental rules that restrict power plant emissions also enhance the risk of outages. Meta-owned Instagram plans to release a text-based app that will compete with Twitter and may debut as soon as next month. Bloomberg reports the Facebook parent is testing the product with influencers and some creators. After years of fanfare, esports in the United States are giving way to economic realities. Unable to turn a profit, team owners are cutting costs by laying off employees and ending contracts with star players. The New York Times reports in some cases they're selling their teams and sometimes at a loss. American Airlines and JetBlue Airways have to break up their alliance on Northeast U.S. flight routes, according to a U.S. District Court judge. The judge ruled in favor of the Justice Department, giving the Biden administration a victory. The department says the two companies raised prices and reduced choice for air passengers traveling to and from major cities in the Northeast. A continued drop in demand for gas and low oil prices could mean Americans get some relief at the pump as we head into Memorial Day. The national average cost for a gallon of gas was $3.53 for the week ending May 18th. Last Memorial weekend, gas prices were $4.59 a gallon. AAA says the current average price in Indianapolis is $3.50 a gallon. Last Memorial Day, that price locally was $4.60 a gallon. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and like us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.